We had some big contract extensions in New York. That vaunted 2022 draft class from the Jets. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. Sauce gets 4 years, 120. Garrett Wilson gets 4 years, 130. You see right there the wide receiver cornerback. That Travis Hunter debate. The Travis Hunter sort of which position should he play? Well, you saw it play out right there, because I think no one is saying Garrett Wilson is as good a wide receiver as Sauce Gardner is a cornerback. But obviously he gets more money due to the position he played. But for the Jets, this was just like, this is what you do when you have top 10 picks, the play they do. When you hit on a top 10 pick, you reward it. That's how you build a team. That is just like strong long-term team building strategy to me. So kudos to the Jets is my takeaway from this.
Yeah, kudos to the Jets. And so often we see with these teams that go through quarrels and, trials and tribulations like the Jets have, a lot of their young superstars, unfortunately for themselves, they faded to obscurity. And you have to be on good teams in order to be playing meaningful football. They haven't had that in New York, but they've had these two young men that have stepped up to the plate and balled out. Garrett Wilson was the one that I had concerns about potentially him getting out of town at the first opportunity, but to get him locked up like this is great for the Jets. And obviously, new regime in there. You want to show that you reward guys who have played the game the right way, which is what Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson have done. It's the carrot being dangled in front of the rest of the team. Be like, hey, if you ball out, you'll get taken care of.
Yeah, that's why I said it is. Obviously the Jets have not been, the best decision-making team in the league, but I think this is in and of itself good business. The other big takeaway I have from this, as you see on the screen there in the highest paid corners, the Broncos deal to Patrick Surtain at $24 million a year, which technically hasn't even kicked in yet. It kicks in 2026 and goes through 2029. That's how long they have him signed.
Wow.
The reigning defensive player of the year. Looks like an absolute steal. And this goes back to one of my favorite things to discuss in terms of team building. Not discuss, but one thing that flies under the radar that we talk about when we talk about the Cowboys is the timing of the deals. They knew that, they saw, like everyone else did, the 2022 cornerback class that had, Stingley and Sauce Gardner. Where they go 2 and 4 overall in that year's draft. They were the, 2 of the 3 to 5 best corners in the NFL. They knew those deals were coming down the pike. So to beat them to market, to get $6 million now less than those guys who signed a year later.
That's some good players
like
every year.
Deal for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, it all comes down to when these deals get done. And, it seems to me that the earlier you're getting these deals done and rewarding your players sooner, instead of waiting around for something to happen, you're going to get these good deals. I don't know if it's the exact same, and you can explain this to me, but when Patrick Mahomes signed, he took a heavy team-friendly deal. And, he was locked up for a number of years there in that deal. This is kind of the same thing that PS2 is going to be in Denver. $6 million a year, that stacks over the course of 4 or 5 years, and you've got an additional set of reinforcements there on free money, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And there used to be, so I think just with the inflation of the game, there used to be if you really got a steal of a contract. So if you say you extended a guy and then he turned into a different player, and say it was a decade ago, it would be you extended a guy who was $6 million a year. He turns to an insanely good player. He's underpaid by $5 to $10 million a year. Those guys would hold out. Those guys would get mad. When you're underpaying a guy, but he's still making $24 million a year. And I think this might be something that comes into play with quarterback contracts. And we kind of just saw it with Josh Allen, not really going out and getting what he could have.
We've reached fantasy land numbers.
Yes.
Where the guys are hey, whether it's 48 or let's just use whether it's 28 or 34, that's enough money to hire somebody that's smart in the stock market, or at least just throw your money in the S&P 500. We're all going to be billionaires in 30 years. So just take a breath, find a way to set your life up with a winning legacy. Be able to spread that money around. And guys like PS2, they took that deal, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. The Broncos are going to have a significantly better team because of that deal. And you look around the league, to your point, some of these quarterbacks are taking less money now. And that, the margin there is huge. There's a lot of meat falling off the bone there for the rest of the locker room to pick up, which is fantastic for business and fantastic for the league.
Yeah, that's like I said, I think it's gotten to the point where there's just if you're haggling over $10 million when you're already making $500 million, it's like it's going to behoove you to have the elite guys, because they will almost be underpaid by definition, because it's crazy for them to even, those guys want to win more than they want that 10 extra $1 million when they already have, like you said, monopoly money. So I think it's just an interesting thing to track going forward. And I think we've kind of hit that tipping point. I mean, the Mahomes deal was kind of starting to get there, but like we've really hit that tipping point here in the past few years, with the cap ballooning now, into the $300 million range.
Hey,
right.
One contract I want to talk about really quick. I just want to give a tip of the cap. This is, one bull rider to another. Trey Smith, 4-year, $94 million deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. This is somebody that I thought was going to be a bear throughout free agency. Obviously, they franchised him. Correct me if I'm wrong. They franchised him, and then they got the deal done. Either way, he would have been making $25 million a year. I remember when the Chiefs drafted this guy in the mid rounds, and the only reason he fell from the University of Tennessee, late rounds, is because he had a heart condition. And when I tell you that I've never seen a man on a mission like Trey Smith, he showed up, him and his luchador hombre, Creed Humphrey, there at center, and those two have just balled out. It's been awesome to watch. I give a lot of credit to Trey Smith, but I give the equal amount of credit to the leaders in that locker room, and guys like Mahomes, but Andy Heck, the O-line coach. A lot of tough conversations. I saw the rookie year that Trey had in Kansas City, but, obviously he has just been a stalwart for them. Much earned, $94 million, 4 years. That's what it costs to be the best guard. That's what it pays to be the best guard in football. I mean, it's awesome.
He was a guy who was a freshman year starter at Tennessee at left tackle. I want to say it was like a 5-star. Like everyone knew early on he was a player.
Specimen.
But then he had blood clots, I believe they were in his lungs, that not only, caused him to fall in the draft, but like he missed years in time at Tennessee, and no one knew. And you mentioned like his work ethic and how much he put in. It's like when the game gets taken away from you at that age and you don't know how much time you have left playing, that makes you,
he's all
reevaluate.
Business, and was like, a grown man from the time he showed up. It was there's a lot of rookies that show up, and any rookie that shows up on the Kansas City Chiefs doorstep, you got to think they're in football la la land. Trey was just like nails from the very beginning. I just want to tip my cap to him. $94 million, man. You earned it. You got to be so proud of yourself.
Well-deserved deal for him.